Hello and welcome to FPL Animate. My name is Oded. This video is all about the wildcard for the upcoming double game week 28. First, I will go over some tips before you activate your wildcard, then the schedule for the relevant teams from game week 28 till game week 35. Then I will go over and talk about which players from which teams are not the best to take and start your wildcard with. We'll go over some wildcard templates and finally how many players from each team you should take into your team. So let's go over some tips that can help you out. First of all, of course, look at the fixture of each team from game week 28 till game week 35 or even till the end of the season. See which teams got the best fixtures and make your plan. In this late time of the season, you should choose the player that will go with your team for the long run. Only 10 game weeks left and you need to think which players can stay in your team for the longest and not to be transferred anytime soon. The more players you have for the long run, it will be more easy for you to plan ahead and replace only a few players along the way. But as we all saw all season long, it won't be easy to nail the right players for the long run in every position or even every game week. Things need to be considered like double game week where the rotation should play a part, the FA Cup before game week 28 that should decide which teams will blank in game week 30 and after that in game week 33. There are still 6 teams that play in Europe and the numbers of games each week will be enough for coaches to rotate more where they can. And of course the injury issue can play a major role. So whoever playing the wildcard chip this week and left with a free hit chip and maybe his bench boots should plan when to use those according to the players he will pick. Most people, if they wildcard now, will free hit in game week 33 because it's such a big blank week with the most of the top clubs probably will stay playing in the FA Cup, which means they won't play in game week 33 as well. So it might mean game week 30 will have only 4 or 5 fixtures, so if you free hit in there's no problem to take more players that might blank in this game week but will have a double game week somewhere along the road. Another game week to use the free hit is game week 36. It should be the biggest double game week of the season. Almost every team can get double games this week, so maybe free hit this week will gain more points than the blank game week 30. It's all about your plan, your strategy and which player do you pick now. That's why you can activate your chip now and try to get the players that you want before price increase or drops, and you can fix your team from now till the deadline. But you can also wait for the FA Cup matches this week to be over with and then decide on your strategy. So those are the teams who on paper got the best fixtures from game week 28 till game week 35, including the double game week that was announced so far, game week 28 and game week 29. Game week 30 and game week 33 are both in purple, meaning those fixtures may not play on if this team move on in the FA Cup. As you can see, almost every club can blank in game week 30, even the clubs who is not in the FA Cup but play this week against the club that is. Same in game week 33, but until then we will know which club still in the FA Cup and which one will play a schedule. Every game week between those blank game week could potentially be a double game week, with one or more fixtures to rearrange. And of course the red dots in here is game in Europe that come between game weeks. So it's a lot to consider facing a decision who to bring to your team and how you plan your move with all these blanks and doubles. On paper, Wolves, Chelsea and Southampton got the best fixtures up until game week 36. All the others got okay fixtures as well and some teams have more games to rearrange like Leicester. Other teams got worst run of fixtures, but for some game week 28 and game week 29 is a double and should be considered players from those teams only for these weeks like Newcastle who got double-double or Aston Villa in game week 28. So first players to be heavily considered for these upcoming fixtures are the Wolves players. As you can see, their running fixtures on paper is the best in the league. They start with a double game week on 28 with home fixtures against Palace and Watford, 2 easy games on paper for Wolves defense, who is now the 4th best defense in the league. After that Everton away and Leeds at home, so game week 30 is not a blank game for them. Aston Villa and Newcastle next and game week 33 probably will be a blank game for them if Manchester City will keep their place in the FA Cup. Then Burnley and Brighton until game week 36, so Wolves defense won't face any good attacking team beside maybe Aston Villa and of course Manchester City. So it's safe to say that Wolves defense player will be out for grabs. Won't be a very shocker to me if people will take 2 or even 3 defenders from Wolves for this run. I know I consider the same. Cannot ignore the double game week in 28 and the teams that they are going to face, 5 of them at home. So you got a keeper like Saha, who got the most saves this season, average about 3.5 saves per game, earning him 1 bonus point each and every game on paper. Although Wolves had back-to-back losses against Arsenal and West Ham, their defense was pretty solid. And against teams like Watford, Leeds, Newcastle, who are not really an attacking threat these past few weeks, I think it will be much easier for them to keep a clean sheet. And also for the defenders to gain some attacking returns because the defense of those teams are poor as well. A player like Sias, who plays as a centre back but come forward a lot to lead the attack and have a great position in set pieces inside the box, so Nouri on the left side would dribble back and forth by the lines. Wolves' offense is not something to write about. Only 2 teams have scored less than Wolves this year, and you can argue if Jimenez is necessary in your team for those fixtures to come. Yeah, he can get an attacking return in any of these games, but I don't see him or Wolves win by 2 or 3 goals every game and gain so many attacking returns for his price. So for me, I will focus more on who to take from Wolves' defense and find strikers to my team somewhere else. So I mark the must-have players in green, the okay players to take in grey, and the differentials in blue. Nouri should be green, but he's a slight rotation risk. Although I'm pretty sure he will start in both games in double game week 28 because he rested the last game week and there is 4 days gap between Wolves games this week. For Chelsea, things look pretty much the same as Wolves regarding their fixtures from now on. Burnley and Newcastle next, then Norwich, Brentford, Southampton, Leeds, West Ham at home, and Everton. Can't get any better than that for Chelsea. The only problem is that I'm pretty certain that Chelsea will progress in the FA Cup, and because of that they will blank in game week 30, and can also blank in game week 33. Depends on the result of their next match in the FA Cup. But other than that, I don't see why not double up on Chelsea defense as well. They become the second best defense in the league. They have 2 matches that will need to be rescheduled, against Arsenal and Leicester and probably against Norwich as well, and even though most of the matches are away, it doesn't need to bother us because we know how good Chelsea defense is. Need to put some thoughts about their Champions League games before game week 29, and now it will affect the rotation and also between game week 31 and 32 if they move ahead of the campaign. Other than that, happy days for Chelsea defense. Rudiger is the most nailed among all of Chelsea defenders. You can see it by his clean sheet and how many people own him. His attacking skills have proved so much this season, and he can be a threat from the long distance shot and set pieces as well. Alonso should be nailed too, even though in his position there are some players who can replace him from time to time. Since he replaced Chilwell, he didn't manage to bring the attacking skills of him into attacking returns. He is still a very attacking defender, maybe more attack than defense, but the numbers show that he scored only once in game week 1 and managed to get 3 assists since Chilwell injury. He is cheaper than Rudiger or James, but he can also be sub in each of every game, usually after the 60 minutes. James, who just made in return during the finals against Liverpool, was the best option before he got injured. But now he's coming back for a long injury and we'll have to see if he will be placed right away in the starting lineup in each and every game. But it's safe to say that if he is fit, he should play every game and he is the best option as defender because of his attacking returns. But again, he and Alonso can be rotated from time to time in the league because of the Champions game and the FA Cup. So need to be aware of that and have a good replacement on your bench in case they get rested. As to Chelsea attacks, for now only 2 comes in mind for me. Mount come out of injury as well and seem like the best option in front. On set pieces, and we all know how good he was against Liverpool, just a bit rusty. He could become the midfielder with the most attacking return in these coming fixtures if he would play, of course, in every match. Ziyech in the last few weeks became more important for the team, opening in the starting lineup in the last 4 games and scoring 3 goals. He didn't play against Liverpool because of a knock, but should be ready for the game week 28. He isn't at risk of rotation now that all of Chelsea players in front are fit, that's why he's in a kind of a differential. All the others should start in each game unless rotation will come when Chelsea will face bigger rivals in the FA Cup and the Champions League and let other players to play against low table team. This is the main concern. Southampton is another team with great fixtures ahead of them, starting with double game week in game week 28, facing Aston Villa away and Newcastle at home. Two teams who are struggling to score and struggling to keep a clean sheet. Both of those teams did well in Gameweek 27, but Southampton were a lot more impressive with 2 wins in a row against Everton and Norwich with complete domination in those games and with a clean sheet. After that they got Watford at home. Unless they win in the FA Cup against West Ham before this game week, Southampton will play in the blank game week against Burnley away too. Then 2 rough games against Chelsea and Arsenal and Brighton and Crystal Palace. So convenient fixture for Southampton, who seem much better the last few weeks in defense and offense as well. So if you want to get a differential keep who is cheap and a differential one, you can go for Forster. McCarthy don't have a return date yet, so it's safe to say that Forster will remain in the goal for the upcoming fixtures. And if you want to take some aggressive move, you can take him and Forster from Watford as the second keeper for only 8.5 million for both of them for now. But if you want to triple up on Southampton players, you probably will go for one of the Southampton defenders, Ward-Prowse, and one of the strikers. In the last game against Norwich, both Liverpool and Walker-Peters had a great game. They both cheap and can play in every game, but they both at risk for rotation with Purdue, who came back from his injury. Who will pay the price and get benched? Hard to know. Maybe they will both stay because of the way they played in recent games, but they are both a great option for this double game week 28. Liverpool is a slight better state in expected goals and key passes for 90 minutes, so that's why he's on my favorite among Saints defenders. Ward-Prowse didn't get any attacking return in the last 3 games, and he should head with the numbers of corners Southampton had against Norwich. He plays in the back most games, not really in front of the strikers, so he gets fewer shots in and outside the box. But he's on all of the set pieces, so it seems for his price and ownership to have him for this run. Broja and Adams will be fighting for the right to be the strikers in your team. Broja is much more cheaper than Adams, but owned by much more people and got only 2 returns in the last 10 games. He also usually the one who is sub first among those 2. Adams cost a lot more for a striker who play for Southampton, but he is in such great form recently that he will be worth gambling on him. In his last 8 games since he returned from his injury, he had 5 attacking returns. So it all depends on your budget and who you think will gain more points. But Southampton striker for this run or fixture is a must in my opinion. Liverpool's schedule is going to be a busy one for this month. After their overtime game against Chelsea, they will face Norwich on Wednesday, then West Ham at home. Second leg of the Champions League in the middle of the week, and then they got double game weeks in game week 29. They're probably going to blank game week 30 and play the FA Cup. Then an easy game against Watford, and in game week 32 they will face Manchester City. Between this game they will have the quarterfinals of the Champions League, if they will go through of course. They may blank again in game week 33, depends on their result in the FA Cup, and Everton and Newcastle before game week 36. So a lot of games in such small period of time. Makes you wonder how Liverpool rotation will be and in which games. Probably will play with the second squad against Norwich in the FA Cup. We may see rotation in defense and other position in midfield during their double game week 29 and probably in the FA Cup. Maybe against low table teams like Watford in game week 31 we will see more rotation before the Champions League game, and a very important match against Manchester City in game week 32. So everyone in this team can play of all these games, and everyone besides maybe Salah can be benched in some. As we saw in the last double game week for Liverpool, even Alexander-Arnold is not immune for rotation. So it will be hard to know, but doesn't mean you won't take some players for Liverpool in your team. Salah is not in the list because quite obvious that everyone will pick him for their teams with his numbers. Alexander-Arnold is almost 50% on as well, and for good reason, but in the last 4 matches in the league he didn't get any attacking returns. He is still the best attacking defender in the league alongside Cancelo, but he is taking too much of the budget, and with Liverpool fixtures he may get benched in the easiest game on paper like Brighton double game in 29 or Watford. Not likely because Liverpool is running for all the titles this year, but it's happened before and can happen again. As for Robertson, he is not far behind with his attacking return this season. Played better than Arnold these past few weeks and on set pieces as well alongside with him. The only issue with him that Tsimikas is a great option for rotation on the left, and we saw it along the season. so he might be rotated more in double game week or easy games on paper, but he costs a lot less and ownership is still very low, so might go for him and have a good sub ready on your bench. As for Van Dijk, he comes with a good price and played the whole 90 minutes in all of Liverpool matches in the league. Doesn't mean he won't be rotating in some of those games, but it seems that he is the most nailed in their defense. He is always a threat on set pieces, but not attacking force like Arnold or Robertson, of course. With Firmino still out, Jota and Diaz will be fighting for the third spot in the offense alongside Salah and Mane. Both have equal chance to start in any of those upcoming games, so it's very difficult to decide who to choose and when they are going to start or come off the bench. Only for this reason and this reason alone I wouldn't recommend to take them. It's a risk in every game week. Manchester City will have the same route as Liverpool probably, will go on the FA Cup, will go on the quarterfinal of the Champions League and a very busy schedule. With Manchester City we know that rotation will be each and every game, just because they have so many good players all around, so it will be more easy for them to rotate. For me no one seems nailed except maybe Ederson in goal. Their main players like Cancelo in defense and De Bruyne on offense will of course play the more important games in the busy schedule. So they might get rotated in game week 31, game week 34 or even game week 29. So it's very hard to guess which player will play each and every game. In this run of fixtures it will be almost impossible. Cancelo and De Bruyne seem the most nailed. Diaz and even Laporte can also be, but as for the rest of the team, especially in the midfield, maybe Bernardo Silva is. If I knew Laporte will start every game I will go for him actually. It's hard to give up on Cancelo, but in this stage of FPL you need to take more risk and play more differential if you want to boost your rank. They will both get the same points on defense probably. Laporte got the most chances for shots in the box than any other defender in the league, and of course his price and ownership is pretty low compared to Cancelo. Of course Cancelo is more attacking defenders, but again, Wolves and Chelsea defenders are more cheaper and have a good chance to get returned in their round of fixtures, so it's a risk I'm willing to take with my team. But it's up to every player to decide. So are with the players in midfield. There are so many other options in game week 28, 29 than Manchester City players. You can bring them from game week 34 as well, or choose only one you think will be the most nailed. Next up are Spurs players. The round of fixtures are pretty good, starting with Everton at home, then a double game week in game week 29, most likely a blank game week 30, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Brighton, Brentford and Leicester. Every team that will face are struggling in defense these past few weeks, even in Manchester United and West Ham. So it seems like a good thing to think about Spurs attackers who seem better and better each week. As for the defense, Spurs were able to keep a clean sheet against Leeds after a long time, so I wouldn't count on their defense too much to do the same in the upcoming fixtures, especially when there are better alternatives elsewhere. But if you set on Spurs defenders, the most nailed for now and have a chance to get some kind of attacking returns is Davies. He play all the games under Conte and a threat on set pieces as well. Reguilon lost his spot in the starting 11 due to illness and lack of fitness. It remains to be seen if he will be back on the starting lineup or keep warming the bench. He is still the best attacking defender in Spurs team, but it seems he lost his place for now. And if Doherty will keep playing after his performance against Leeds, don't rule him out too. But need to wait and see because he have of course fighting with Emerson Royal for the right defender spot. As for Spurs attackers, we all know who they are and what they are worth. Kane and Son is back in full speed, both nailed, both getting in shape in the right moment, and as always it will be hard to decide which one to bring to your team if you cannot afford both of them. Now there's a third player you might consider bringing into your team. In his full forward league game for Spurs, Kulusevski scored twice and got 1 assist. With his great performance over these games I can say that he pretty much nailed alongside Son and Kane on offense. So he can be a differential alongside any other picks between Son and Kane if you cannot afford both of them. He seemed to adjust very quick and play with a lot of confidence, so for 6 million and 1.3 ownership he can be one of the best differential until the end of the season. It will be hard to find a spot for him with only 5 spots for a midfielder in each team, but again, time to take some risk and bring players a few people have and hope it will pay off. And Leicester will have some nice fixtures as well. Not to mention they have 3 matches to reschedule and will play in game week 30 and 33 for sure. If we overlook this team till now, mainly because of their bad fixtures and the ups and downs in defense and injuries all season long, now is the time to look again and pick up some players for their run. Great fixtures at home, some couple of hard ones away, and then they can double game week in each of these weeks. Surely 3 double game weeks ahead of them, so some players from this team should definitely to be considered. And the one big issue with this team is that almost all of their players should be back in action at the start of this month. Players like Vardy, Justin, Fofana, Castagne and Evans later in this month. So maybe finally Leicester defense will stable a little bit, because as for now they got the 7th worst defense in the league and kept a clean sheet only in 2 games. So if the injured players do come back during this March run and stay fit, there could be a chance for more clean sheets. But I wouldn't recommend to take anyone from their defense quite yet. Let's wait and see who will come back and who will play regularly in defense first. As for the midfielders, Maddison is the only sure thing here. Leicester will play in Europe in the next round before game week 29 and then the second leg before game week 30, so keep that in mind. But again, Maddison should play all of those games alongside Tielemans. He is on set pieces, he is the best player in Leicester this year and is a good player to have with double game week for Leicester coming pretty soon. Tielemans is a fair option, but again it will be hard to find a room for him in midfield with so many other options. Maybe when a double game week will be announced for Leicester, it will be easier to bring him along and double up on Leicester the midfielders. Other option of course is Lookman, who looked pretty good, but for now it's hard to say if he's nailed or not. If Leicester keep on playing with one striker, odds are he will get more playing time. You can also take a look at Barnes, who seems coming back to life after a poor start of the season, but he's still far from the player we saw last season. And Vardy should come back for game week 28 and for sure for game week 29. The big question is how many games he will play and will he play the double games. This year he used to play only once a week and kept out almost entirely from Europe and other cups, focused on the league alone. But Leicester will try to go all the way in the Conference Cup and he might start those games too. His minutes surely will be managed and strikers like Daka and Inacio can stake his place in the league during the games against Arsenal and Brentford and his double game week as well. And his price is high to just put him and hoping he will play every game week. So it's a tricky one because you want at least 2 players from Leicester until the end of the season, but beside Maddison, who will you take? We can wait for this decision before game 32 when the fixtures are better. Injured player will return and maybe we'll know more which other game week will be double for them. So let's look at some wildcard templates, for example how teams can look like. The first one I think will be the most popular one just because it's very balanced between players who got double game week in 28 and 29 and players with good fixtures after that. Of course the main issue here that most of these players probably blank in game week 30 and even game week 33, so with this template free hit game week 30 is more than reasonable. You got 10 players with double game week in game week 28 and 3 in game week 29. This team is balanced with 2 main defenders from Chelsea and Wolves, one from Liverpool and one from Manchester City. Balanced midfielders and a good 3 striker with good fixtures. Coutinho can be replaced by someone like Saka or Mount in game week 29, and you can play with this template till the end with minor transfer here and there. The second draft is focusing mainly on strong defense with Arnold and Robertson. Wolves double, Chelsea and Manchester defender. Of course can pick whoever you want from those teams, but those are the best defenders from the best defensive teams. It's all about how much you have in your budget and which players you prefer. Midfield look about the same as the first draft, also can be changed with Coutinho or any Aston Villa midfielder for Maddison or Saka. And less attractive striker for those who want to put their money mainly on good players on defense. And as we've seen this year, it won't be the worst idea considering how many points strikers brought this season. The third option for a wildcard draft is the differential one. If you want to take some risk and play more aggressive, pick player with low ownership but still with an option to gain big points, this is one example for a template like that. 2 Newcastle players just because they got double game weeks in 28 and 29 and the fixtures ain't that bad. Livramento, Itnouri are the most cheaper defenders you can get with good fixtures. Rafinha got double game week in 29 as well if you want to go in that direction. Kulusevski and Kane will double up for Spurs and Adams will come instead of Broja. In all of those drafts, Salah is the one who stay put, but again Liverpool will play a lot and it can affect a great player as Salah as well. So maybe go for someone else that release a lot of money and hope Salah will blank or bench in some of the games ahead. Not recommended, but depends how aggressive you want to play for the rest of the season. And finally, my current wildcard draft. Of course, changes will be made until the deadline, mainly because of the FA Cup, but for now I'm going to take a huge risk and triple up on Wolves defense. Rudiger come off for Chelsea because for now I can afford James with the budget I have. Target hopefully will play in both double game weeks. For Newcastle, more hopefully keep a clean sheet at least in one of those games. Other than that, everybody else seems pretty much nailed. Still thinking Mount over Madison for now or even Saka, but need to wait and see until the weekend which player will be the best for me and my team for the long run. So this is what I think about players from each team, and how many do you want in your team depends on fixtures and rotation up until game 35. I didn't even mention in this video teams like West Ham or Manchester United regarding to their players, but they can fit in some of the game weeks. Got 2 or 3 players from some teams, 1 or 2 from others, 1 player because of all of those reasons, players that are suited for only game week 28 or 21-9, and players that won't be in anyone installed for this run because they are just awful. Lots of options and lots of ways to go, lots to consider. It will be a hard job to find the right 15 players for your wildcard and plan up ahead until even the end of the season. And that's about it. Thank you for watching my video. Do subscribe to my channel and give this video a big like. Goodbye for now and good luck to all.